We are going to talk about racism, which is an important theme that Hainsbury tackles in the play. It should be noted that racism is part and parcel of the American culture, especially with the slave trade. African Americans were considered as second class human beings, property, and they were exploited to work and enrich white folks. Consequently, they had no access to education, no access to empowerment. They did not have liberties like everyone. And so most of them decided to move up north, especially when they gained their freedom, hoping that life will be better there. But Hansberry makes us to understand that no matter where the African American finds themselves, life remains the same because they will constantly be segregated against. Firstly, the younger family lives at Chicago South Side, where they are subjugated to segregation and economic stagnation. This is a completely black neighborhood and full of poverty, and where the residents are limited to attain economic prosperity or live wherever they want. The fact that it is a black neighborhood and reserved only for blacks highlights racial segregation. Claiborne Park is an all-white neighborhood, and the residents there are not willing to accommodate other communities. Can Lindner tells the youngest that it is better for black people or black communities to live in the community where they live only among themselves. Mama therefore defies the racist laws and buys a house at Claiborne Park, and this does not sit well with the white supremacists. Consequently, they send Can Lindner to try to stop the youngers from moving into Claiborne Park. When Lindner visits the younger family and fails to convince them, despite doubling the amount of money, the younger family is determined to battle against racism and racial segregation when they decide to move into Claiborne Park despite the hostility that awaits them there. Thirdly, Mrs. Johnson comes with a newspaper that carries the article, "Negroes Invade Claiborne Park Bombed." This is an indication that the whites attack blacks who move into Claiborne Park and chase them out of their homes. Lindner tells the youngest that black people are better off when they live in their neighborhoods and among their kind, to reinforce the racist tendency in the American society. This explains the reason why Mrs. Johnson believes that the youngers are a proud folk of people and that they are moving into Claiborne Park to move up the social ladder. But Mama makes us to understand that she had bought a house there because of affordability. Walter is also angry with the young white boys who can discuss business worth millions, yet at his age, he has nothing to show for it. He is angry with a white society that deliberately keeps black into permanent poverty and lack of economic empowerment. Consequently, in his discussion with Judge Murchison, he gets very angry with him. Lastly, the racism that we get in Raisin in the Sun has two faces. One that is very overt, like what takes place in the South, where most of the people had been slave owners and they practice segregation openly. As blacks are not allowed to attend white schools, they are not empowered economically, they are deprived of so many liberties. There is the one that is practiced in the North, which is covert, even though it is not said, but we understand that they mean what they want. The whites therefore believe that Whites and blacks cannot live in the same community. That is why it is difficult for black people to move into white neighborhoods and buy houses there or live there. Consequently, they will be bumped out of their houses, like the newspaper carries. And this is also echoed by Mr. Kanline, whose proposition to the younger family already indicates the mentality of the white supremacists, who believe that blacks coming to Claiborne Park will be destroying their community.